All right, guys, today's golf lesson is all about acquiring a very important skill that so few of you have. 85% of golfers struggle with distance. They tend to slice the golf ball. Really good golfers, if they fade a golf ball, for example, they're doing it by choice. Okay, if they want to hit a baby draw, they're more than capable of doing that, and by choice they decide that they want to hit a fade for whatever reason. Maybe they're looking for more distance control, looking for more consistency. That's a nice problem to have, guys. That's a problem that very few golfers have. Those are the golfers that drive in the fast lane. The vast majority of you drive in the slow lane. Okay, you're struggling to create speed, you're using a lot of effort. The harder you swing, the shorter you hit it. You know who you are. So the ability to be able to hit a baby hook, a miniature hook golf shot, I think is the foundation for better ball striking. There's no question. We start to speed up the body and we add body dynamics to that feel, that release that we establish to hit a baby hook, and you guys are going to be off to the races. So I want to talk a little bit about what the best players from a very young age, the vast majority of them, learn to do. I don't care whether we're talking about Ben Hogan, the great three, of course, Nicholas, Palmer and Player, to modern day golfers like Rory McIlroy and Tiger Woods and DeChambeau and Schauffele. I mean, all the best ball strikers, guys, when they learned to play golf when they were kids, I can pretty much assure you that they used to hit draws. They used to hit the ball primarily from right to left. And as they got older and as they got stronger and they become better and better golfers, of course, they're trying to spend the rest of their careers not hooking the golf ball. Okay, so they start off hooking it and they spend the rest of their careers trying not to hook it. And that's what you see primarily, you know, on the PGA Tour and with elite amateurs, is you see, you know, so many of them tend to move the ball from left to right, which is, it's a different release pattern. I think there are misconceptions around that release pattern. We're certainly not dragging the handle or holding it off. They're releasing their lead wrist into extension. They have less rotation. But again, they got permission to do that, but there's not one player out there on the PGA Tour that couldn't hit a low stinger, draw or hook just like that if they chose to do so. So my question to you is, how many of you know how to hit a low stinger, hook or draw? Well, what I find is, if I put people through a combo, you know, which is what I do when golfers come and see me, I just put them through a very simple combo and I'll tell them to hit that golf shot. It's virtually impossible. Okay, the more they try and hook the ball, they pull it. Essentially, they miss left by spinning their body. That's how they get that ball started to the left. That is not a hook by any stretch of the imagination. So what's the bottom line? The bottom line is, you need to understand that it's the wrists that really have a great deal to do with controlling the club face. The hands, guys, hold the golf club. The way you grip the golf club, grip integrity, whether you're too loose or you're too tight, which I've talked about in my videos, that is the responsibility of the hands. The wrists are what articulate the golf club. Okay, we've got different release patterns. We've got what I call negative twist, which is where the toe of the club is open to the shaft. We've got kind of a vanilla release, what I call a neutral twist, okay? And then we have what's called a positive twist, or what we call positive rotation, where the club face is actually slightly closed to the shaft. Okay, so people that draw the golf ball, they're able to get the club face more closed relative to the path the golf club's being swung on. Okay, and hopefully that path, of course, is slightly inside out, which we're going to talk about here in a second. So when I hit a baby draw, I've got a training aid here which is incredibly helpful. Please don't grab this from your bathrooms. If you're going to use a plunger, spend $4 and go pick up one at the hardware store. But this is a really useful training aid. I like to put this on my target line here. If you can imagine, the ball is perhaps on this side of the alignment rod, basically about 1.5 feet behind, okay, and just on the other side of the alignment rod. Can you see that? So what I've got here is, I've got a wonderful tool that's going to really hold me accountable for making sure my club approaches the ball from the inside, not the outside. Cheap and cheerful, and it's going to be very useful. So I'm going to go ahead and grip the golf club here, and I'm going to sort of articulate my wrists. I'm not going to have an arm motion. I'm not going to really introduce my body. I'm going to start with a simple wrist motion where I set the club to the side of me and then I bring it back to where it started, right? So the butt end of the club, when we start off, maybe just a little bit left of your zipper, and we want to return the butt end of the club slightly to the left of your zipper. Pretty straightforward stuff. I'm going to make sure that my grip isn't too weak. So many of you guys struggle with weak grips. Grip the club in the fingers, get that lead hand a little bit more on top, V between thumb and forefinger to the trail shoulder. Trail hand in a similar position. It's going to be really, really helpful. All I'm doing, guys, is I'm swinging the club to the side of me, and I'm going to take the back of my left hand, okay, and I'm going to turn my left hand down as I approach the golf ball, and then I'm going to simply return the butt end of the club towards me. Conversely, I take my right hand, palm of my right hand, I can do a little right-handed swing here, and I'm going to do exactly the same. But you're going to notice that I'm twisting the golf club positively towards the golf ball. I am not either dragging the face across the ball here or twisting it open. Either one of those is not going to work. So that's really important to understand, isn't it? Obviously, what we've got to do here is we've got to allow the wrist to sort of articulate without spinning the body, right? That's ultimately what most of you are struggling with. So what we've got to do is hit the inside of the golf ball here, miss the plunger. I very much like the plunger because not only does it act as a point of reference to make sure I'm coming from the inside, I like to face the plunger, or at least get the feeling I'm facing the plunger at the point of collision. You're going to feel very, very closed when you strike the golf ball. Again, guys, this is feels, not reels, okay? The average tour player, they're not terribly open with their shoulders. Rest assured, I think there's a lot of misconceptions out there that everything needs to be wide open when you make contact with the golf ball. You know, some of the best ball strikers in the world, one of the best swings in the world, I think Adam Scott is one of them. I mean, his chest is basically rotated about 3 degrees to the left at the point of collision. That is not a lot, okay? For most of you, I think you're going to find that your upper body is rotated a lot more than that. Unfortunately, when you strike the golf ball, it's happening too soon, right? We're spinning, which throws the club out and over the top of the golf ball. So while you're doing this with your wrists, guys, really get the feeling that your upper body is facing back as you engage your wrists. Again, look at the toe of the club rotating positively down as the butt end of the club returns towards me, and I'm creating kind of a little bit of a snap here. So I'm squaring the golf club from the inside at that point, okay? That's pretty vanilla. My club face is pretty square to my path, and my path is pretty neutral. That type of golf shot, guys, if I hit a little one here, that's going to produce a very straight golf shot. I'm not going to put a ton of curve on the golf ball. I'll go ahead and just do it right here. Take it back, twist it back to the golf ball here. Butt end of the club's going to return back towards me, and let's go ahead and just hit one. And you can probably see that golf ball there, pretty darn straight. It didn't really go to the right too much, it didn't go to the left, it was absolutely dead straight. Now, what I allow to happen there is I allow the club head to pass my hands. I also allow my arms to pass my body. Yes, I said that, okay? The club head passed my hands and my arms passed my body, and I did it without rolling my wrists. Of course, if we roll the wrists from an open to closed type of situation here, that is not what I want. It's going to be very, very difficult for you to control your club face, okay? You're going to really struggle. You're going to be right on one shot, you're going to be miles left on the next. That is definitely not my goal. However, guys, I am not driving too much with my body, and that's what I see most golfers doing. They like to throw what I like to call the kitchen sink at the golf ball here. They've got their body spinning, okay, and that really slows the club head down. That's the whole point here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get my bag out of here, and then we're going to hit a couple, and I'm going to show you how you sort of take and translate this little motion that we just discussed, where I'm coming from the inside of this fancy training aid, the plunger, okay, turning the toe down, okay, and I'm going to go ahead and rotate the golf club. I may even get a little bit of a hook, or actually miss it a little bit to the left. I don't know if you can see that. Once I start to speed my body up, guys, what's going to happen here, even if I overdo that, right, if I over twist the golf club to the point where I have too much positive rotation, where I'm not lining up the toe to the shaft, in fact, where the toe is beating the heel, okay, and possibly where the arms are swinging too much past the body, if I do that a bunch, okay, it's going to create a baby hook. It's going to create a golf shot that essentially curves too much to the left, okay? So that's what we call a little baby hook. You're standing here and you're able to make the ball go left with your wrist articulation. not your body, but your wrists. You're doing a wonderful job, in my view, of really separating the motion in the wrists from the body. A lot of people tie those together and they try and spin their body to square the club face, which is not ideal. So the challenge we've got here is, you know, obviously what I'm not looking is for you guys to sort of stand here and be hooking shots miles to the left. But what I found is, if you take this motion, okay, where you're essentially throwing the golf club out a little faster, you're getting your arms moving down a little faster in relation to the speed you're rotating your body. When you actually hit full golf shots, the body tends to catch up with the wrists and the arms. I'm going to say that again. The body catches up to the wrist and the arms. See, so many of you have your body out in front of your wrists and your arms. That's why most people miss the ball to the right, okay? The objective here, in many respects, is to stay behind the golf club. The body needs to stay behind it. If it gets in front of the golf club, it slows the club down. This particular drill, the baby hook, and mastering this little baby hook motion, where we're coming from the inside, rotating the knuckles sooner, having the wrists, if you like, rotate perhaps a little too much initially, is absolutely a dose of good medicine for those of you that tend to hit to the right and you tend to slice. And what you'll find is, with that same feeling here, if you start to get this same feeling, okay, you can see the golf club rotating very freely past my body here. As soon as we start to speed the body up, you sequence your golf swing, okay? So now my golf swing is a lot more sequenced. And what I'm finding is that the ball actually doesn't go left. It goes from a hook and turns itself into a nice little draw. Interesting, right? So what's happening here is I'm starting to get the wrists and clubs moving faster. I get my arms working down and past my body. Then I start to speed up my body. But the key here is I'm allowing my wrists and my arms to employ my body. It's not the other way round, guys. That's where most of you are going to go wrong. You're going to turn off those fast twitch muscle fibers in the wrist, arms, and shoulders, and then you're going to defer to the body. That gets us outside our plunger, gets you coming over the top. So I'm going to make that same swing, guys, where I feel this little baby hook. See the toe of the club turning down. You can see here the butt end of the club facing me. It's not driving out in front of me. It's just facing me. I don't feel a ton of roll in my wrists, but I definitely feel the toe of the club swinging past the heel, okay? It's definitely more this way. It's less open. And then all I'm going to do is allow this motion here. Watch my feet. I'm going to start to allow this motion, all right, to pull me through the golf shot. I start to feel a little bit more pressure into my lead leg. I start to feel my pelvis rotating. I start to feel my shoulders rotating. And all of a sudden, I find myself up on my trail toe, perfectly in balance, in what looks like a really sequenced golf swing. It's not about reels as much as it's about feels. I do not want you slapping at it with your wrist and your arms. That's not what this is all about. So we start here, okay? We start here, all right? And then we employ the arms. You notice how my arms are dropping here, all right? And then we employ the body. And then we've got our nice sequence golf swing. Let's go ahead and hit a couple for you. And again, I think a nice soft draw, ideally. Very little effort here. That ball's starting a little right, turning back to the left, okay? Very little effort. The advantage of hitting the draw in many respects is that you decrease dynamic loft. You turn your 7-iron into a 6 or a 5-iron. Of course, if you're twisting the club open, you're turning your 7-iron into a 9-iron. For those of you that are struggling to hit a 7-iron 140, 150 yards, you need to be paying attention to this, okay? So again, it's the same feeling, guys. Wrists turning down earlier. Look at the toe of the golf club. Arms are dropping. I really feel like my upper body, as I change direction, remains facing this, okay? I'm not spinning away from the plunger. This is exaggerated. All right, so I'm facing way back. The club here is going to look something like this if I exaggerate it. okay? And all of you are going to say, well, you're practicing releasing the golf club early. You have to understand, you know, this feel, okay, is going to look more like this because your body is going to get engaged dynamically. There's no question about it. You're just feeling your arms working down is going to engage your body. I know it's hard to believe, but when you first start doing this, you're going to be shocked at how far you hit it with how little effort, okay? I'm going to hit one more for you. Again, staying inside the plunger here. Nice rhythm. It's a nice little spiral draw. Ball starting to the right of the target. Arms drop. Wrists rotate. Nice little spiral draw. So I've got that shot all day long. Feel very little stress on my body, guys. But again, really important to start off with the baby hook before you start integrating body dynamics, before you start speeding your body up. And that's what happens, guys. Your body very simply catches up to your arms and your wrists. Shockingly, you are actually in sequence, perhaps for the first time, okay? So we're not spinning like a top, leaving the hands and the club at the start line. What we're doing is we're getting the hands and arms out in front of us, and then we're sequencing that motion with the pivoting motion of your body. Unbelievable how well this works. I want you guys to give it a shot. If you have any comments, I'd love to hear from you. Always get back to people. If you think this could help, go ahead and share. And thanks so much for subscribing. I really appreciate it. We'll talk to you next time.